You're joining a motorway from a slip road. How should you deal with traffic already on the motorway? Match your speed to traffic in the left-hand lane and filter into a safe gap. Stop at the end of the slip road and look for a safe gap. Use the slip road to accelerate until you're moving much faster than the motorway traffic. Carry on along the hard shoulder until you see a safe gap.
Okay, just remind me earlier at the end. You're joining a motorway from a slip road. How should you deal with traffic already on the motorway? So match your speed to the traffic in the left-hand lane and filter into a safe gap. See, match your speed to the traffic in the left-hand lane and filter into a safe gap. See, the question was, you are on a slip road. So if this is your vehicle, you see this red one, this is your vehicle. This is slip road. This is slip road. So how do you join the motorway from the slip road? So if you're driving in this red van, how would you join the motorway? So what do? You gain speed. You drive, you match your speed to the traffic that's in the left-hand lane. So for example, if this Jeep is traveling in 40 miles or 50 miles, you match your speed to 40 or 50, you drive, and whenever you find a safe gap, you just enter into this left-hand lane. Okay, so match your speed to the traffic in the left-hand lane and filter into a safe gap. You're joining a motorway from a slip road. How should you deal with traffic already on the motorway? Match your speed to the traffic in the left-hand lane and filter into a safe gap.
What's the national speed limit on motorways for cars and motorcycles? 70 miles per hour. 30 miles per hour. 50 miles per hour. 60 miles per hour.
What's the national speed limit on motorways for cars and motorcycles? The speed limit on motorway is 70. Very confusing. Why? Which one is confusing? The speed limit on motorway is what's confusing, Omi? Okay, who find this confusing? Is there anyone that find this question confusing? The speed limit question. Is there anyone that find the speed limit question confusing? It's very, very easy, guys. Look, single carriageway is 60. Single carriageway is 60. Motorway and dual carriageway is always 70. Single carriageway always 60. Motorway and dual carriageway 70. Just remember one thing. If in the question they ask you about trailer or caravan, then you minus 10. Okay, so single carriageway 60, motorway and dual carriageway is 70. Just remember one thing. If they ask you about trailer or caravan, then you minus 10. So if they ask you about trailer or caravan in a single carriageway, you minus 10 from 60. And if they ask you about trailer or caravan in motorway or dual carriageway, you minus 10 from 70. Is that clear? So single carriageway 60, motorway and dual carriageway 70. Only remember trailer or caravan minus 10. Carriageway means road. Carriageway means road. What's the caravan? The difference between carriageway and motorway. So motorway, the main biggest road in England, and dual carriageways, they are the second biggest roads, and the difference is how would we know whether the road is a dual carriageway, whether it's a motorway? How would we know whether the road is a dual carriageway or if it's motorway? How would we know? If you look at these road signs, do you know what color is these? What color are these? What color are these? So on motorway, all the signs will be blue. On motorway, all the signs will be blue. So we know from these blue signs that this is motorway. And on dual carriageway, all the signs will be green. Okay, so that's how we would know. Green dual carriageway, blue motorway. Okay, so what's the speed limit on a motorways for cars and motorcycle? So what did we say? What's the speed limit on motorways? That's 70. Okay, 70.
Which vehicle should use the left-hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? Any vehicle that isn't overtaking. Slow vehicles only. Large vehicles only. Emergency vehicles only.
Which vehicles should use the left-hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? Any vehicle that is not overtaking. So if you're not overtaking, you should always keep to the left. All vehicle can use the left-hand lane. Okay, so any vehicle that is not overtaking.
Which vehicles aren't allowed to use the right-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway? Vehicles towing a trailer. Motorcycles. Motorcycle and sidecar outfits. Small delivery vans.
Which vehicles are not allowed to use the right-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway? Okay, the right answer is vehicle towing a trailer. But why? What's the reason why when vehicles towing a trailer is not allowed? We just spoke about this. What's the speed limit when you're towing a trailer? What is the speed limit when you're towing a trailer? It's 60. Is 60. And what's the right-hand lane of a motorway for? What is the right-hand lane of a motorway for? The right-hand lane of a motorway is for overtaking. So the vehicles that will be traveling in the right-hand lane, that will be traveling in more than 60 miles. That's why it's not allowed to use the right-hand lane, okay? Because when you're towing a trailer, you are not allowed to drive over 60 miles. And so that's the reason you can't use the right-hand lane. So vehicle using a trailer.
Your vehicle breaks down on a motorway and you need to call for help. Why might it be better to use an emergency roadside telephone rather than a mobile phone? Using a mobile phone will distract other drivers. Mobile phones don't work on motorways. It connects you to a local garage. It allows easy location by the emergency services.
Your vehicle breaks down on a motorway and you need to call for help. Why might it be better to use an emergency telephone, roadside telephone, rather than a mobile phone? It allows easy location by the emergency services. It allows easy location. Why? Because they know exactly where they are installed. So they would know where exactly that emergency phones are. They can easily find you through that. So allows easy location by the emergency services.
Your vehicle broke down on the hard shoulder of a motorway, but has now been repaired. How should you rejoin the main carriageway? Wait on the hard shoulder until someone flashes their headlights at you. Gain speed on the hard shoulder before moving out onto the carriageway. Move out onto the carriageway, then build up your speed. Move out onto the carriageway using your hazard warning lights.
Your vehicle broke down on the hard shoulder of a motorway but has now been repaired. How should you rejoin the main carriageway? Okay, Gain speed on the hard shoulder before moving out onto the carriageway. Guys, if you don't understand the answer, please ask, okay? So if you fix your vehicle on the hard shoulder, how would you join the motorway? You start driving on the hard shoulder, and once you gain speed, you just enter into the hard shoulder. How? Okay. How? Okay, so if you so if your vehicle was here, if you had a vehicle broken down here, you fixed your vehicle, what do? You start driving. You drive, and once you gain speed, when your speed is same as the traffic, and just find a safe gap and you just enter there. So if you're here, you drive, and once you gain speed, you just enter into the motorway and start driving. So gain speed on the hard shoulder and find a safe gap in the left hand lane and just enter there. So gain speed on the hard shoulder before moving out onto the carriageway.
You're traveling along a motorway. Where would you find a crawler or climbing lane? Before a junction. Along the hard shoulder. On a steep gradient. Before a service area.
You're traveling along a motorway. Where would you find a crawler or climbing lane? On a steep gradient. On a steep gradient. And the reason for that is, so the heavy goods vehicle or slow moving vehicle does not block the way or the road for other road users. So if you look in here, wait guys, let me just explain this. Okay, so if you look in here, on the right hand side we got 2 lanes. There are 2 lanes, and in the left we got 3 lanes. You see on the right the road is coming downhill, and in the left the road is going up. See, it's a steep gradient, so we have an extra lane. This is for heavy goods vehicle and slow moving. Why this lane is there? So they don't block the way for the traffic that's going in these 2 other lanes, because slow moving vehicle, when it's going uphill, they can't gain more speed. So they don't block the way for other traffic that's going in these 2 lanes. So that's why there is an extra lane in here in the left. Okay, does that make sense? Yep. So that's why we have that lane there. You're traveling along a motorway. Where would you find a crawler or a climbing lane? Hard shoulder in a slip road. From slip road we enter the motorway. In hard shoulder is in an emergency lane to fix your vehicle. So on a steep gradient.
What do these motorway signs mean? They are countdown markers to a bridge. They are distance markers to the next telephone. They warn of a police control ahead. They are countdown markers to the next exit.
What do these motorway signs mean? They are countdown markers to the next exit. And so this is 300 yards, 200 yards, in 100 yards. These blue, these are for motorway. Blue ones are for motorway, and we have blue ones are for motorway, and then we have green one. These are for dual carriageways, and then we have red one. These are for concealed level crossing. Red for level crossing, green for dual carriageways, and blue one are for motorways. So that they are countdown markers to the next exit. What do these motorway sign means? Exit and roundabout is same thing. Same thing, okay? It could be exit, it could be roundabout. Because when you enter into the roundabout, you get into exits as well. So that's why it could be roundabout, it could be junction. So they are countdown markers to the next exit.
Where are amber reflective studs found on a motorway? Between the hard shoulder and the carriageway. Between each pair of lanes. Between the acceleration lane and the carriageway. Between the central reservation and the carriageway.
Where are amber reflective studs found on a motorway? Between the central reservation and the carriageway. Between the central reservation and the carriageway. Guys, do you remember the rule, the RWA rule? Red, white, amber. RWA. Red, white, amber rule. No? No? No, okay. Just listen carefully, guys. And it's very, very easy. So whenever a question comes about studs, there will always be the word motorway. You see? The word motorway. The word motorway. And if anyone do not understand this, please just listen carefully for 2 minutes and you will never get it wrong. So, how do we enter the motorway? Does anyone know on which road do we enter the motorway? Through which road do we enter the motorway? And through which road we leave the motorway? Does anyone know? Through which road we enter the motorway and we leave the motorway? Slip road. So at slip road, it will be green. Okay, so slip road, it's always green. Slip road is green, and it could also be used as like exits when you're leaving the motorway. That's exit, and that's also slip road. We come out of the motorway through slip road, but they could also call it exit, or they can call it slip road. Okay, and how do we enter the motorway? Through slip road. So they can call it entrance, or they can also call it slip road. So in both that case, it will be green. So we enter and we come out of the motorway through slip road. Okay, so slip road is green. Slip road is green. So we know that. So green, slip road. And then we have, as I told you, the motorway spelling. M-O-T-O-R-W-A-Y. Can you see, guys, this R and that's W and that's A. R-W-A. So if anyone find this hard, please just write these 3 words in the comments so I can explain it for you. R-W-A. Just write down R-W-A. If you do not understand this RWA rule, please just write down RWA and then I'll explain it. So RWA. And if you see these 3 words, RWA, where is A? In these 3 words, is A on the right, on the left, or is A in the middle? Where is A? Is A on the right, left, or in the middle? A is in the right, exactly. Where is R? Where is R? R is in the left. Well done. And where is W? Where is W? W is in the middle, and that's the order of studs on the motorway. That's how the order of studs are on the motorway. Red studs are in the left hand side, amber studs are in the right hand side, and white studs are in the middle of the motorway, in between the lanes. So amber on the right and red on the left and white in the middle. And just remember that 3 words. And okay, and what is this lane called? Guys, do you know what is this lane called? This is hard shoulder. And This is hard shoulder. And do you remember in the RWA rule, what was in the left? What did we have in the left next to the hard shoulder? Red studs. So next to the hard shoulder, it will be red studs. So between the hard shoulder and the left hand lane, or between the hard shoulder and the carriageway. Guys, all these three lanes, this is called carriageway. Carriageway means road. So all these, in between all these three lanes and the hard shoulder, we have red studs. So these, all the lanes, all these three lanes, this is called carriageway. So between all these three lanes and the hard shoulder, between here and between all these three lanes, so we're talking about here. So in here we have red studs. Exactly. So between the hard shoulder and the left hand lane is red. And guys, does anyone know what's this area called? Central reservation. That's central reservation. This is central reservation. And in RWA rule, what did we say? What was on the right hand side? In RWA, red, white, umber, what was on the right? Umber, exactly. So between the central reservation and the carriageway, which is this whole road, we have umber. So whenever the question comes about central reservation and the carriageway, it's umber. And between the lanes, we have white studs. Is that clear? Any question? Any question, guys? Well done. That's very good. Just practice it once and you will never get it wrong, okay? Slip road and hard shoulder is not the same. Okay, so where are umber reflected studs found on the motorways? Okay, let's practice this. Between what studs will be between the hard shoulder and the carriageway? What studs will be between the hard shoulder and the carriageway? Remember what studs was next to the hard shoulder? Just remember the RWA rule, okay? Between the hard shoulder and the carriageway, what studs? Red. It was red. Between the hard shoulder and the carriageway, it was red because hard shoulder is in the left, and in the RWA rule, we know R was on the left, umber was on the right, okay? So between each pair of lanes, which one was between each pair of lanes? White. Between each pair of lane was white. Well done. Between the acceleration lane and the carriageway. Guys, do you know what does acceleration lane mean? Acceleration lane. Lane means slip road, okay? Just write down slip road equal to acceleration lane so you don't get it wrong, okay? Acceleration lane is slip road. Slip road, okay? So between the acceleration lane and the carriageway, what color would that be? Green. Well done, guys. Very, very, very good. Well done. So between the slip road and the carriageway is green. As I explained earlier, through acceleration lane or through slip road, we enter the motorway. So that will be green. And between the central reservation and the carriageway, what studs will be there? Central reservation was umber. Okay, umber. Guys, I'm putting all these videos in my YouTube channel. You can watch it there. In case if you don't get time to attend the class, you can watch these videos there as well. So that's between the central reservation. Where are the umber reflected studs found on the motorway? Between the central reservation and the carriageway. Green will be when you're leaving the motorway or when you're entering the motorway, okay? So, where is it? 1 second, guys. Let me show you a picture. I have 1 second. I had a picture of the, yeah, so we see, so red on the left between, and that's umber on the right. And then we talked about exits, so that's where is it going? You see, so when we leaving the motorway, that's where you will see green studs, when you're leaving the motorway or when we entering the motorway, okay? So between the central reservation and the carriageway.
What color are the reflective studs between the lanes on a motorway? White, amber, green, red.
Between the lanes. Remember, guys, between the lanes. What color are the reflective studs between the lanes on a motorway? Very good. White. Well done. White.
What color are the reflective studs between a motorway and a slip road? Green, red, amber, white.
Motorway and slip road. Motorway and slip road. Yeah, so that's green. Well done, guys. You're very clever. Green. Green.
Your vehicle has broken down on a motorway. In which direction should you walk to find the nearest emergency telephone? In the direction shown on the marker posts. With the traffic flow facing oncoming traffic. In the direction of the nearest exit.
Your vehicle has broken down on a motorway. In which direction should you walk to find the nearest emergency telephone? A. C. Someone saying C. Okay, guys, do you know what's this called? Guys, do you know what is this called? This is called marker posts. You can see on top it says marker posts on motorway. Okay, and what does it say? See, what does this mean? This gives direction. You can see the direction sign. You see, that's a direction sign, and that's a telephone. So it gives you direction towards the emergency telephone. And what is it called? It's called marker posts. It's called marker posts. And if you look in here, what does it say? Pointed to nearest emergency telephone. Pointed to nearest emergency telephone. Okay, does that make sense now? Your vehicle is broken down on a motorway. In which direction should you walk to find the nearest emergency telephone? In the direction shown on the marker post.
Why is it important to make full use of the slip road as you join a motorway? Because you can continue on the hard shoulder. To allow you direct access to the overtaking lanes. Because there's space available to turn round if you need to. To allow you to fit safely into the traffic flow in the left-hand lane.
Why is it important to make full use of the slip road as you join a motorway? To allow you to fit safely into the traffic flow in the left-hand lane. Why is it important to make full use of the slip road as you join a motorway? Guys, could you please, everyone, just share the live once? And if you did not follow me, please do follow, guys. If any one of you did not follow me, please do follow. So why is it important to make full use of the slip road as you join the motorway to allow you to fit safely into the traffic flow in the left-hand lane?
How should you position yourself when you use the emergency telephone on a motorway? Face the oncoming traffic. Keep your back to the traffic. Stand on the hard shoulder. Stay close to the carriageway.
How should you position yourself when you use the emergency telephone on a motorway? You face the oncoming traffic. And what was the reason why should we face the oncoming traffic? In case if any driver loses control of their vehicle, you should be able to save yourself. And also, you know, when heavy vehicles are passing you, what happens? When large vehicles are passing next to you, what happens? Does anyone know? When large vehicles are passing next to you, wind, exactly. They blow wind towards you. So you should be careful with that as well. So you should be able, if there is any hazard, you should save yourself. They can blow you away, exactly. So you should be able, what's happening on the road, you should watch. So face the oncoming traffic, okay? How should you position yourself when you use the emergency telephone on a motorway? Face the oncoming traffic.
What color are the reflective studs between the hard shoulder and the left-hand lane of a motorway? Green, white, red, amber.
Hard shoulder. Hard shoulder. On which side was hard shoulder? On which side was hard shoulder? Thank you. On which side was the hard shoulder? Hard shoulder was in the left, and we spoke about the RWA rule. R was on the left, so red studs. Red studs. Very good, guys.
On a 3-lane motorway, which lane should you use if there's no traffic ahead? Left. Center. Either the right or center. Right.
On a 3-lane motorway, which lane should you use if there is no traffic? If there is no traffic. Left. Always drive in the left-hand lane. Always drive in the left. And remember, if there is no traffic in the left and you're using the right-hand lane, you get 3 penalty points, and also you get £100 fine as well. So if there is no traffic in the left and you're using the right-hand lane, 3 penalty points plus £100 fine. So remember that, guys. Always drive in the left unless you're overtaking. Unless you're overtaking, then that's fine. Middle lane in the right-hand lane, that's for overtaking. So if you're overtaking, you can get into the other lanes. Otherwise, you should always keep to the left.
What should you do when going through a contraflow system on a motorway? Stay close to the vehicle ahead to reduce queues. Switch lanes to keep the traffic flowing. Keep a good distance from the vehicle ahead. Use dipped headlights.
What should you do when going through a contraflow system on a motorway? Yeah, so keep a good distance from the vehicle ahead. Keep a good distance from the vehicle that's ahead of you. Guys, do you know what's a contraflow system? Do you know what this contraflow system means? Contraflow system is, guys, can you see normally? Okay, can you see in here the right side? Can you see the traffic, how the traffic is going? Can you see how the traffic is moving in here? See, that's the right side of the motorway. The traffic is going in the opposite direction. So when you have on one side of the motorway, you have a two-way traffic, that's called contraflow. The word contra means opposite. So you can see this traffic is going in the opposite direction. This is called contraflow. Contraflow system. That's a two-way traffic in one side of the motorway. Okay. So that's keep a good distance from the vehicle ahead.
You're on a 3-lane motorway. Which lane are you in if there are red reflective studs on your left and white ones to your right? In the middle lane. In the right-hand lane. On the hard shoulder. In the left-hand lane.
You're on a 3-lane motorway. Which lane are you in if there are red reflective studs on your left and white ones to your right? Okay. You are on a motorway. Which lane are you in if there are red reflective studs on your left and white ones to your right? Okay, so you got red. Remember guys, RWA rule. So we got red in the left, white in the middle, and we have amber on the right. So if we have red on the left and white one on your right, which lane are we in? We got red on the left and white ones on your right. So where are we? You see where this car is? See, on the left of the car we have red studs, on the right we have white studs. Guys, if you practice the RWA rule few times, then you won't get it wrong. Okay, you're in a 3-lane motorway. Which lane are you in if there are red reflective studs on your left and white ones to your right? You are in the left-hand lane.
What should you do when you're approaching roadworks on a motorway? Speed up to clear the area quickly. Always use the hard shoulder. Stay very close to the vehicle in front. Obey the speed limit.
What should you do when you're approaching roadworks on a motorway? Okay, why does it say obey the speed limit? What's the reason? Why does it say obey the speed limit when there are roadworks on a motorway? What does roadworks got to do with speed limit? What does speed limit got to do with roadworks? Whenever there is roadworks, there will be reduced speed. Whenever there is roadworks, there will be reduced speed. So if normally the speed limit on the motorway is, what's the speed limit normally on the motorway? Guys, what's the speed limit on the motorway? What's normally? And what's the speed limit now? You see, it's a roadworks. And what's the speed limit now in here? What does it say? It's 50. Why? Because of roadworks. So whenever there is roadworks, there will be reduced speed limit. So whenever there is roadworks, there will be reduced speed limit, and that's why is asking us to obey the speed limit. Okay, because whenever there is roadworks on the motorway, there will always be reduced speed limit, and that's why it's asking us to obey the speed limit.
Which vehicles are prohibited from using the motorway? Double-deck buses. Powered mobility scooters. Motorcycles over 50 cc. Cars with automatic transmission.
Which vehicle are prohibited from using the motor? Prohibited means not allowed. So which vehicles are not allowed to use the motorway? Powered mobility scooters, you know, the scooter used by disabled people, they are not allowed. Why? Because they cannot, they are slow moving vehicle. And guys, do you know what's the highest speed for powered mobility scooters? I think they're 8 miles. I think they are allowed up to 8 miles. I think it's 8 miles per hour. I don't think they're allowed more than that. I think it's 8 miles. I'm not 100% sure, but I think. powered mobility scooters.